Super Smash Bros. Melee is one of the most popular fighting games of all time, with an extremely active and vocal community to boot. Behind this incredible popularity hide maybe not so deliberate game design choices that set Melee apart from the rest. Let's explore those choices and try to find out what gave Super Smash Bros. Melee a divergent design. But wait a second, isn't it 2014? This game was released 13 years ago. A sequel to the game came out so long ago, they already made another one! Anyone who's tried to play a multiplayer game from back in the day knows how truly remarkable this is. Players just don't stick around this long, unless there is something really special about a title. And don't get me wrong, there are many special things about Melee's game design. Being able to throw down with Nintendo giants is an amazing novelty that surely added to the game's mystique. An innovative percentage mechanic kept things fresh, and separated Smash from its competitors. And spiking noobs is just fucking awesome. But the original Super Smash Bros. And Brawl had all of these characteristics, yet Melee clearly has the largest and most active community more than a decade since its release. There must be something more, something deeper. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that one of the major reasons that Melee has been so popular for so long is because of these two words: asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance in the context of game design is a game state where each character has their own set of unique strengths and weaknesses, which can be exploited and countered, but when taken as a whole, result in balanced play. The asymmetric part means that every character is different, and the balanced part means that every character is good. This means there is no one solution or correct way to play Melee, despite what Fox-only Final Destination players will tell you. Now, we're not talking about great big differences, but small, carefully crafted ones, like a character having a slightly longer range or a faster falling speed when compared to the average. But how could slight character differences propel a game for so long? These differences add a huge amount of replay value to Melee. It's easy to see how learning to use 26 different characters and their respective matchup with every other character adds a whole lot of content and variety, keeping players interested for literally years. Asymmetrical balance also helps create a metagame, an ever-evolving state of play that keeps any one playstyle or character from being definitively the best. Now, before I get into this evolving metagame, I have a confession to make. I lied earlier! Melee has asymmetrical balance, but only if you consider the top 8 characters or so. If you go beyond that, while each character definitely has its own strengths and weaknesses, it becomes clear that certain characters have more glaring and easily exploitable weaknesses, or strengths which aren't quite strong enough to make up for deficiencies in other areas. The result is 8 or so, the exact number is debatable, high-level characters that can compete to be the best, with the remaining ones having a difficult to nearly impossible time winning major tournaments. You forgive me, right? But even with only the top tier characters being close to what most people would call balanced, the game is deep enough that many different characters and playstyles have dominated the competitive scene at different points in time. This speaks to the evolving metagame we touched on earlier, and in order to illustrate its importance, let's take a walk down memory lane and learn a little bit about Melee history. When Melee first released in the holiday season of 2001, to the delight of Purple Lunchbox owners everywhere, Masahiro Sakurai expected a success for the whole family, a casual, cartoonish 2D fighting game with zany items and lovable characters. As fate would have it, many of the players had a different interpretation. A vibrant competitive scene sprang up, and from their collective consciousness, the first Melee character tier list was disseminated. These lists simply show the understanding at the time of how good each character is. Take a look at where Jigglypuff is placed on the original tier list. Pretty mediocre, right? A year and a half later, the tier list creators placed Puff at number 2, as an April Fool's joke. Little did they know of what was to come.
Oh my God!
Now let's fast forward past a king, a PC, a DJ, a second coming, a hungry box, and a fruit. This is the current Melee tier list, updated July 2013 in its 11th incarnation. Puff is now considered one of the best characters in the game, and, in the hands of Hungrybox, placed second in EVO 2014, the biggest Melee tournament ever. But Jigglypuff's turnaround isn't an outlier. The meta has shifted significantly since Melee's arrival in the competitive scene. Ken Huang, the king of Smash, absolutely dominated the competition with his amazing Marth play until his retirement in 2007. The inventor of the Ken combo made a comeback 5 years later, but has only managed to place as high as 9th in major tournaments since then. While this is partly due to rustiness, I'd argue a major factor is Melee's shifting metagame. 5 years was simply too long of a break for even the most dominant of players to simply reclaim the crown. The game had changed too much, the competition given too much room to catch up and eventually surpass. Even ideas as sacred as Fox being the best character in the game have evolved with the meta. You might not know this, but for years, Sheik was actually considered to be number 1. And it was only after the play of highly skilled technical players like PC Chris, Korean DJ, and Mewtwo King that Fox vaulted to the top spot. Even so, that isn't a position universally supported by all Smashers. It's clear Melee's metagame has changed dramatically since the game's debut, and I hope it's clear how much these changes added to the game. The shifting meta gives players a fresh and interesting problem to work with that never gets old. New players rise to the top and provide amazing shift in the meta moments, the most recent probably being Amsa's Yoshi play, which took a middling character, universally thought of as bad, and turned that idea on its head. These shifts continue to happen today, 13 years later, in a game that has never been patched. That's pretty amazing, and it's no wonder players keep coming back for more. But who cares about all that metagame stuff if the gameplay is easy to master, boring, and slow, right? Oh, whoops, wrong game. Melee is anything but easy to master, boring, and slow. And the first piece of that is the absolute ocean of technical depth in the game. It took years for players to figure out how to do some of these techniques, and even longer to master them. I've taken the liberty of organizing technical skill development into 4 easy-to-identify stages. Level 1! You're a complete noob and you use the control stick to jump. This level contains the most basic of gameplay. Lots of smash attacks, virtually no defensive play, and definitely no edge game. In layman's terms, you suck. Level 2! You're not utter shit. You've learned what a tilt is and that they're good. You've started to learn defensive play, but you roll way too much. There's some edge game here, but nothing to write home about. Level 3! Also known as the Great Awakening. Similar to other Great Awakenings of their time, this blew my mind. Here, you learn wave dashing, L cancels, teching, directional influence, chain grabs, and more. You shield and spot dodge like a boss, and any fool who is unlucky enough to be off stage is about to get spiked. You are truly pro. Like the highest levels of consciousness, very few ever make it this far. This level is a complete coming together and mastery of all previous techniques, as well as an adoption of the most difficult ones in the game. Masters at this level wave shine with ease, pull 0 to death combos while wiping their butt, and super wave dash foes into PP accidents. I went through a great many years playing this game as a kid without knowing what tilts were, let alone wave dashing, L cancels, teching, or seriously, what the fuck? The sheer difficulty of some of these techniques gave players a whole lot to chew on. Like perfecting a golf swing or a silky smooth jumper, this level of tech skill takes years to master. And of course, adds years of replayability to Melee, as players hone their craft and strive for perfection. But Melee's depth of technical gameplay accomplished something else that may have played an even more important role in the game's longevity. It made the game fast, really fast. And I think it's safe to say, this generation generally likes playing fast games, and we like watching fast games. Of course, this doesn't apply to everyone, but it applies to a lot of us. It's why baseball is losing fans and video games are on the rise. And it's key to understanding why Melee is currently in the middle of a renaissance, as the largest tournament in its history happened this year. Melee's speed separates the title, perhaps from other fighting games, but definitely from Brawl and Smash 64. An inherently faster physics engine, combined with the vast array of advanced techniques we went over earlier, create a thrilling and exciting Melee experience. When either player can lose a stock within the first few seconds of a match, the players are on the edge of their seat at all times, and so is the crowd. You don't see this kind of frantic, unpredictable gameplay in Brawl or 64, or at least not even close to as much of it. The sheer stimulation that Melee provides is not possible in the other Smash games, and I think this is a major reason why players keep coming back to it after all these years. But Melee's resilience isn't just explained by old players who have stuck with it, but also through new players who are intrigued by the game's breakneck pace. This widespread proliferation, despite the age of the game, can be largely credited to the incredible online presence that Melee sustains. Some notable examples include VG Bootcamp and Clash tournaments, who provide regular coverage of high-level competition with usually professional commentators. And of course, Smash boards, where many in the Smash community come to discuss strategy and organized tournaments. These mediums provide a stage and place of discussion for Melee's fast-paced, riveting gameplay, and are a driving force in the recruitment of new generations of Smashers. All of these elements, the unique Smash formula, asymmetrical balance, an ever-shifting metagame, the expanse of advanced techniques, and the high-speed, highly entertaining gameplay combine to answer how a 13-year-old game on a tiny disc could stand the test of time. But with a new Smash game on the horizon, perhaps it's time to look forward. First, a word from Masahiro Sakurai, the director of Melee in every Smash game. There are 3 Smash Bros. Games out now, but even if I had a chance at another one, I doubt we'll ever see one that's as geared toward hardcore gamers as Melee was. Melee fans who play deep into the game without any problems might have trouble understanding this, but Melee was just too difficult. And with that, we peer into the creator's mind, as he understandably chooses accessibility over gameplay and balance. But here's what Sakurai didn't know. Melee was accessible. It sold over 7 million copies and was the GameCube's best-selling game. Accessibility and true, deep competition are not mutually exclusive. In fact, many of the most popular games of all time exhibit both of these qualities. But that quote was from 2010, and early signs from Smash 4 are intriguing. Many players are calling it a marriage between Melee and Brawl, with seemingly greater asymmetrical balance than any of the previous titles. It's still too early to know, but we can hope, right? And hey, even if Smash 4 doesn't work out, you can count on the community to come up with something. And with hope for the future springing from the essence of a special game, that's what gave Super Smash Bros. Melee a Divergent design.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out more about Super Smash Bros. Melee, click on the links we provided down in the description. Also, check out Story You Never Knew, Steve from Minecraft by clicking on me, or check out our other Divergent design, Oblivion, by clicking down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day.